Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the name is released of the scaffold inspector killed on the job last week at Formosa Plastics Point Comfort location. Victoria Police has more information on a man shot Sunday night. And a pregnant woman dies in Refugio County after running over an alligator on the highway.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, we made it up to 101 today, triple digits for maybe 1 or 2 more days, but then there's a little hope by the time we get to the weekend. I'll have that coming up.
The Crossroads athlete is heading to College Station to play football and run track. That and more in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the night off. The Calhoun County Sheriff's Office has released the name of a scaffold inspector killed on the job July 14th at Formosa Plastics Point Comfort location. He's identified as 31-year-old Pedro Manzano Silva of Mission. A spokesperson with Formosa released a statement Friday but said it could not further comment today. OSHA investigates all work-related fatalities. Victoria Police say a man was shot Sunday night in the 4100 block of Callis Street. Police say it happened around 11:20 p.m. The 34-year-old man was shot in the upper body. He was taken to a local hospital and is expected to be okay. Investigators say the victim got into a fight with a suspect who remains on the run.
Officers responded to this location in reference to a shots fired call. When we arrived, we located a 34-year-old black male with a gunshot wound to his upper body. All we're doing is conducting the investigation at this time. We're just trying to gather more information. He's undergoing surgery at this time.
Authorities have a limited description of the suspect who was last seen running to a white car. They believe this was an isolated incident. Anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers at 361-572-4200. A woman died after the truck she was driving ran over an alligator on State Highway 35 in Refugio County Sunday. DPS reports Gabrielle Bro of New Iberia, Louisiana, was transported to DeTar Hospital where she died Sunday morning. DPS said Bro was pregnant. Attempts to save the unborn child were unsuccessful. 5 people were transported to area hospitals after the truck rolled over after striking the alligator near FM 774. 3 people were killed in a Sunday morning 2-vehicle crash on U.S. Highway 77 in Refugio County. The Refugio County Press reports the people killed were 39-year-old Jose Rivas of Houston, 37-year-old Christina Gonzalez of Humble, and Gonzalez's son. Authorities said a white GMC truck struck a Chevrolet Silverado, pushing the Silverado into the grassy median and causing it to roll over. Christina Gonzalez was ejected from the Silverado, and the 2 other people in the Silverado were trapped in the vehicle, which burst into flames. ERCOT issues a weather watch that is expected to last through Tuesday. ERCOT put out the weather watch due to forecasted higher temperatures, higher electrical demand, and the potential for lower reserves. ERCOT said grid conditions were expected to be normal during the weather watch. ERCOT issued its first weather watch in June. Victoria County Commissioners Court enacted a burn ban Monday morning, effective immediately. The only burning that will be allowed is household garbage in a barrel with a screen on top. If you have any questions, contact the Victoria County Fire Marshal's office at 361-579-9103. And now let's take a first look at your forecast. Here's First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Mac, was the burn ban put on in Victoria County any surprise to you at all?
No, in fact, I thought they were a little late on it, but I guess they got to it, and that's good. I believe it's a wise thing to do. You know, all of our grasses, all of our green stuff is beginning to dry and fall apart, so burning outdoors, not a good idea. Another day of wall-to-wall sunshine. It's 96 right about now. We managed to get up to 101 today. Triple digits again tomorrow, but a little bit of hope as we get to the weekend. I'll have all that coming up in just a moment.
Mac, thank you. TxDOT holding a meeting Tuesday afternoon to discuss an improvement project on FM 236 from US 77 to FM 237. The open house starts at 4:30 p.m. and wraps up at 6:30 p.m. at Zion Lutheran Church of Mission Valley at 12183 FM 236. Contact information is right there on your screen. There's also a virtual option, and we had that information at our website, crossroadstoday.com. And this brings us to your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Do you plan to attend the TxDOT meeting Tuesday in Mission Valley? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 7% of the voters say yes, and 93% of the voters say no. We thank you for voting, and we want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we'll have an update on 25 News Now at 10. The suspect accused of a shooting inside a North Texas high school 2 years ago now on trial. Timothy Simpkins faces multiple charges for the shooting at Mansfield Timberview High School, including 3 counts of attempted murder. This all happened back in 2021 when Timothy Simpkins was 18 and a student at the high school. He is accused of shooting inside a classroom and injuring several people, including 2 students and 2 teachers.
One of the text messages, I believe it said it was just a shooter was in the hallway. There was a fight. Two students were fighting, and then one of the students started shooting. I think that was the gist of all the messages.
This video reportedly shows Simpkins fighting with a classmate after a teacher broke that fight up. Court records say that he is accused of going into his bag, grabbing a gun, as you see there, and shooting the classmate he was fighting with. Police say Simpkins then ran from the school, but hours later turned himself in to police in Arlington. His family told reporters that the teenager was a victim of bullying and that the shooting was a form of self-defense. A man suspected in a mass shooting at Amarillo now in custody. Police say Jose Flores III killed 2 men at a party on July 9th. 5 other people were shot. Those victims are expected to survive. Police have not yet revealed a motive for the shooting, but say the gunfire happened after a fight broke out. Flores was arrested last Saturday and is currently being held at a detention center in Randall County. The city of Austin has a new way to beat the Texas heat. They are now opening misting tents in its downtown area.
Today, the city of Austin launched these misting tents at Republic Square Park in downtown. They're a cool place for anyone to take a break from the heat, whether you're walking to a meeting or currently living on the street.
Friday, the city of Austin announced their cooling tent pilot program to help people beat the heat in downtown. On Guadalupe at 4th Street is the first and only location, but they say more tents could pop up if people use them. City staff also passed out cold, bottled water to passersby.
In these situations, the combination of the temperature and the high humidity can lead to serious heat-related illnesses.
Friday, the city of Austin was under an excessive heat warning from the National Weather Service. With that comes an elevated risk of heat illness.
And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for us to pay attention to ourselves and take care of ourselves.
Since April, 422 people in Austin have suffered a heat-related illness. 50% of those incidents happened in June and 25% in July. About 700 people die annually from heat illness in the U.S. So far this year, 13 Texans have died.
If you're an outdoor worker, please make sure that you're taking plenty of breaks and make sure that you're staying hydrated.
Signs of heat exhaustion include nausea and lethargy. Signs of heat stroke include no longer sweating and confusion or delirium. If someone is experiencing heat stroke, you should move them to a cooler place and call 911. Children, the elderly, and people with chronic illness are at higher risk for health complications. Officials are also warning people to take steps to ensure they never accidentally leave a pet or child in a hot car.
This is, in fact, a dangerous time, and that's why we want to get these warnings out.
All Austin public libraries and rec centers also double as cooling centers. There are more than 24 located across the city. These misting tents will be here starting on Sunday until 6 p.m. on any day there is an excessive heat warning.
More information on Texas heat. 4 people in El Paso transported to the hospital with heat-related symptoms. Authorities say 2 people have suffered severe symptoms, while the other 2 are considered to be minor heat-related symptoms. 3 other people are being evaluated by medical crews. First responders said the people were out at a car show underway at Ascarate Park. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 6. Prosecutors in the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting trial recommending the death penalty for the shooter. Also ahead, we have the latest reports on the race for the presidency. The final phase in the Pittsburgh synagogue massacre trial is underway. The jury that convicted Robert Bowers of killing 11 people inside the Tree of Life synagogue in 2018 will now decide his fate, and prosecutors recommending the death penalty. In opening statements, the prosecutors saying Bowers made the decision to kill again and again, and, quote, now it is time to hold him accountable, unquote. Meanwhile, the defense argued a sentence of life in prison would be holding Bowers accountable. And now to the race for the White House. Former President Trump remains the front runner for the Republican nomination as fellow candidates ramp up visits to early primary states. Meanwhile, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis still lagging far behind and has fired several staffers in an effort to save cash, with even more shakeups expected.
A new campaign approach for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
We obviously are going to do a lot more work and get a lot more done.
ABC News has learned that the DeSantis campaign has cut nearly a dozen staffers and is pausing investments in battleground states as it sharpens its focus on decisive early primary states. New campaign financial reports show the governor's team raised nearly $20 million, but spent nearly $8 million in just 6 weeks. Records show former President Trump out-earning DeSantis in second quarter fundraising at more than $35 million. Sources also telling ABC News the DeSantis campaign is realizing it may have miscalculated Trump's popularity. Meantime, with his commanding lead over his rivals in the polls, Trump suggesting on Fox News that he may skip his party's first presidential debate.
Why would you let somebody that's at 0 or at 1 or 2 or 3, be popping you with questions?
Rival Chris Christie pressing Trump.
I'm happy to say right now, come on, Donald. Get on the stage and defend your record.
Across the aisle, campaign filings show President Biden well ahead of his Republican challengers, reporting $72 million raised for his reelection. Both parties could find a threat from No Labels, a bipartisan group that's aiming to build support from Republicans and Democrats with centrist policies.
The problem is the American people are not buying what the two parties are selling.
They're not playing by the same rules. You got a bunch of mega rich Republican donors who are pushing this agenda.
And No Labels kicks off its U.S. tour with a town hall in New Hampshire featuring former Republican Utah Governor John Huntsman and Senate Independent Joe Manchin, who has not ruled out a White House run. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
An unopened first-generation iPhone just sold at auction for a record-breaking $190,000. That's more than 317 times the original retail price of $599 when it was first offered in 2007. This phone is considered the holy grail for iPhone collectors because of its 4 gigabytes. The auction company says it's the first 4 gigabyte factory sealed version to surface.
I thought they were too expensive the first time, but now they're at auction.
Now, whoa.
Amazing. Well, folks, we've got some world weather headlines. It officially was at 128 in Death Valley over the weekend, as the forecast was, but the thermometer at the visitor center said 133, so there was people there taking pictures of that. In southern China, it got up to a new record they've never seen before, 126. In Sardinia, obviously in the Mediterranean, where they're supposed to be cooled by the ocean, 115. And El Paso has now had 27 triple-digit days in a row. Welcome to global warming. We'll have more on your weather and talk about what we expect for this week coming up in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. We're looking, of course, today's 101 as a high temperature, but you know, it's kind of interesting. You can get warmer and not feel worse if the humidity drops, because last week we were in the upper 90s with higher humidity. It was much more oppressive than it was today. But if you're working outdoors, just keep in mind, get a load of these temperatures, barely 90, upper 90s right at the coast. And then everybody inland, all the way to the west coast, looking at 100-degree temperatures as this record-breaking summer rolls along. I mean, there's record being broken everywhere in northern hemisphere. You know, China, Europe. We haven't even started with there's so many new records that are being set. Tomorrow, again, we're looking at triple digits here, and then we watch and wait because there might be a little change in our weather pattern, hopefully, to give us a little break. But you know, Amarillo, Midland, all the way to the crossroads, not a cloud in the sky, just plain old sunny and hot. Now, we do have the advisories that continue in effect. Of course, if you're going to be working outdoors, just take it easy. Now, whatever you've been doing to survive, that's what you need. But look at this. The heat goes from the Mississippi River through the plains all the way to the west coast as this unbelievable ridge of high pressure is centered on top of us. Now, you know, this is like the top of a mountain, okay, all right? Wherever the center is where the highest pressure is and where I can forecast the warmest temperatures. So places like Flagstaff, Phoenix, New Mexico, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, they'll all be in the low 100s. We're going to be in the low 100s until about Wednesday, when this thing actually is going to start backing up It's going to back up into the Intermountain region, basically Utah, and our pressure is going to drop slightly. I'm not saying it's getting cold. I'm just saying we may get back to the mid-90s for about 2 or 3 days, and that's going to give us a shot at maybe a few little clouds here and there. The smoke from the Canadian fires continues coming in, and folks in these areas are just really dealing with brutal air quality. Here is the Saharan dust. Here's West Africa, big bloom coming in. We had a little bit of a light dusting last couple of days, but you're really going to notice this one. This is going to be probably by the time we get to about Wednesday, Thursday, you'll see redder sundowns or sunsets because of the dust coming in. Don, this particular storm didn't do much of anything. Wandering, look at the route. Look at the route. It went up, it went down, it went up, round and round. It's in a loop. It's gone. But this is the tropical storm Don, not our Don. Don knows where he's going. Anyway, let's look at this one. This is going to be interesting. First of all, this is Calvin. It was a hurricane. It's going to decrease, but the remnants are going to go right over Hawaii. So I'm not saying there's going to be a storm there, but they're going to have some unsettled weather where otherwise it's paradise, you know. For those of you in Port Lavaca, getting up to 95 tomorrow, lots of sun. For everybody inland, we're looking at triple digits, so 103 in the Cuero area. And like I said, oppressive heat for 3 days. A little bit of a break as we get back down to the mid-90s, and just a slight chance of 20% of a shower or two by the time we get to Sunday. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Don, you're the good Don, right? The Don in the Atlantic, that doesn't know where he's going.
I know where I'm going. I don't need a map. I know where I'm going. All right, back. Thank you. Sports Director Gino Perez is here with a super, and I mean a super, sports team in Victoria.
Thanks, Don. We appreciate it. The Victoria wheelchair softball team also had a super time over the weekend. That's coming up after the break. Howdy Crossroads. The biggest news over the weekend is that a 4-star recruit from Refugio has decided on where he will run track and play football in college. Bobcat Ernest Campbell has chosen Aggieland to be his new home after his senior season in Refugio. With an audience encompassing family, friends, coaches, and teammates, Campbell made his commitment known through a captivating video reveal. Having weighed his options between Houston, Nebraska, and Texas A&M, the speedy receiver ultimately favored the notion of remaining close to home while also being able to do the things he loves.
For me, it was just the coaching staff. They showed a lot of love when I went to the visit. Coach Craig, that's what you're gonna get on the visit. Like he's not gonna change or nothing. But that's what you're gonna get as Coach Craig. So it was a pretty good visit. That was my favorite visit. And I loved it there. So.
Campbell is joining 2 other Crossroads athletes who are going to be in College Station as well. That's El Campo's Ruben Owens and his rival in Shiner, Dalton Brooks. The track state champion is also trying to recruit Timpson's Terry Bussey, who is the top recruited athlete in the state of Texas, to come to join the promising recruiting class at A&M.
I know Dodson, so I talked to him. We talked, him, me, if we can get Bussy there, and then we got Ruben, so we'd be a good stacked team. After football, just try to build a relationship with him, me and him. Hopefully we can get him there at A&M.
Campbell and the Bobcats made it to the state title game last season, where it would lose to the Hawley Bearcats. That's the last thing on the Flash's list to check off: win a state title in football. Also over the weekend, the Bad News Chairs competed in the Crossroads Wheelchair Classic and were fortunate enough to make the title game. Teams competed at the Challenged Athletes Dream Complex, and the championship game was between the home team and Memorial Herman Tier Hot Wheels. In the game, the Bad News Chairs had the lead heading into the final half inning of play, but the Hot Wheels walked it off with a 2-run shot to win the game 7-6. The teams also hosted a game to commemorate O.J. Johnson, who was an umpire for the league for many years, but he died recently. The Victoria Generals are on a break until tomorrow, and they also broke its 3-game losing streak. The Generals were down early on, but tied the game in the 3rd inning. It was a game of cat and mouse. The River Monsters would score, then the Generals would tie. Well, in the 7th, the Victoria team pulled ahead and hold on to win. It was a strikeout cancer night at Riverside Stadium, and the Generals helped raise over $11,000 to fight cancer. The next home game is Wednesday, July 19th. David Beckham's MLS team Inter Miami introduced soccer icon Lionel Messi to South Florida over the weekend. Inter Miami fans packed DRV PNK Stadium to show their support for Messi as he officially becomes a part of the team, and for good reason. He led Argentina to a world title last year. Messi's first game with his new team is expected to be this Friday when Inter Miami hosts Mexican side Cruz Azul at home. Well, that's your sports. Don, back to you.
Yeah, what is he going to get, like $40 to $50 million
Yeah, he's going to be the highest paid MLS player ever, so he's getting that bank.
I think part of the perks is he gets one of the Florida Keys. Not all of them, just one. All right, Gino, thank you. We're back in a moment. At a swimming pool in Ohio, you can find 2 lifeguards who are not exactly teenagers. And finally tonight, the saying, age is just a number, rings true for a pair of lifeguards in Ohio. At 76-year-old Norm Winstall spends his time by the pool, but he's also the lifeguard on duty. It was a decision Norm made whenever the pool was facing the nationwide labor shortage. So he completed his 26.5 hours of lifeguard training and got to work. But Norm is not the oldest person poolside. Just a few chairs down is 90-year-old Josie Blackburn supervising the youngsters at the splash pad section. To those seasoned citizens, we keep our hats on for them because they need some shade in the sun.
I'm surprised they didn't have the big lifeguard hats, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Or even an umbrella. I mean, goodness.
So, no, don't get sunburned, that's for sure.
That's right, that's right.
Well, folks, I don't know what their temperatures were like out there, but we were triple digits yesterday and today. We'll be there again tomorrow, and then I'm just hoping, because I'm looking for anything in the darkness, a ray of light of maybe a cloud and maybe a little shower by the time we get to Sunday and Monday. Other than that, stays hot, so try and stay cool.
Yeah, we've got another county with a burn ban around here, so we need some rain.
That's us.
Soon. Keep working on that.
You
Okay.
bet. I will.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you,
Every
Gino.
night.
And thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News now at 10. Have a good one, everybody.